Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad. And by the way, don't bother me in the comments about this and that because somebody's going to get himself banned if he keeps on talking like he is. Just throw it out and tell him, stop, stop. Literally, do I need to bring up the charts for you? Because obviously you're not studying the charts. So stop making comments if you don't know what you're talking about. So first of all, this is not financial advice or any other advice. It is Brad having coffee. Just going to say it out loud. Now, let's go ahead and talk about what I wanted to talk about this morning. And we're going to just add it to the stage. Way back in November of 2024. Remember that? Remember that time? Way back when? Well, there was a report that came out from Hudson Bay Capital. And that report is a lot more important than what people realize. Literally, President Trump tells you in the report. And you go, President Trump isn't in the report. Oh, look at that. It says for President Trump right there. Consistent themes for President Trump. And you just sit back and go, you know, who is Stephen? Right? Stephen. I don't know. Who is he? Okay. Stephen just happens to be a member of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. Interesting. He's also the chair of Council of Economic Advisors to the President of the United States. That's interesting how that is. Yes. Yes, that is how Brad is there. Brad gets mad at me sometimes. I get coffee in hand too, right? Exactly, because he keeps on talking about CLOs, and I have said CLOs had massive outflows, and he's like, yeah, no, it doesn't. Literally, I'm going to go find the chart, bring it up, and then just ban him from ever making a comment again because he didn't do his own due diligence. And that's the problem with some of these people because they don't do their own due diligence. So we're just going to go ahead and move on because if I tell you something and then you don't Google it, literally, okay, we're going to stop right here. We're going to go. So if I say something and you don't go Google it, you're worse than a 5-year-old. Even a 5-year-old can type something into Google. My daughter called me one time with a math problem in college. And I said, okay, no problem. Did you Google the answer? She said no. I said, hun, college should be teaching you how to use Google. She called me back later and said, oh, well, look at that. There you go. It gave me the answer and it gave me how to solve it. So when I say something about the debasement trade, somebody should do their own due diligence. That is just how it really is, right? My 5-year-old love this. My 5-year-old could do a voice to text and search. I'm telling you, it is. In today's video, I put his report that he wrote back in November 2024. And I said, let's go ahead and go and put this into AI. And what does AI tell me to do? Well, one, I asked AI to give me a summary, right? And the summary says that you tells you how they're going to actually impact the markets. And literally, this is exactly how it has impacted the markets. Right here. They told you how it was going to impact it. Then I said, based on this report, what would be the best investments to make? Right? And it comes up and tells me, hey, they're going to lower tax rates It's going to invest. You should invest like this. And what it comes right down to is dollar, gold, crypto angle. Right there. It's telling you that gold should be going up and everything else associated with gold and silver and commodities. Yes, literally AI told you to do this, right? It also says tilt toward US manufacturing, reshoring plays, defense, defense plays, right? China and gold and possibly large cryptocurrencies. Literally, that's what it told you. So I put it into Google Gemini. Oh, look at that. It tells you, hey, you should start looking at precious metals. Again, taking the same report that they published a year ago and they told you what to buy. Told you, right? They told you what to buy. Next one we should be looking at is energy and aerospace, right? I mean, it literally tells you by taking that report. And by the way, that report is down below inside the description. So you can go download it and put it into AI and search out everything you want to know about the report. And it tells you it tells it right to you. You don't have to guess. You really don't. I put it into chat. Chat goes hard assets, silver and gold, commodities, energy, uranium. Have you looked at uranium recently? Yes. Have you looked at uranium recently? No, you probably haven't. I like this one. Real assets, real estate with passion, with cash flow, farmland. Well, I tell you this, that I'm still looking at REITs. I still think REITs will do just fine as an investment. I got two REITs, one from State Street and one from Neos. I had to think about that. Still haven't had all my coffee. And I just want to go ahead and say, I warned this guy about talking about CLOs. He will get banned later today. Sorry, I told you not to say anything, but he keeps on. Anyway, moving on. We'll go into what does DeepSeek say? DeepSeek says, understand triggers of the debasement trade. Right? It talks about the Japan currency, Great Britain currency, tells you commodities, gold, and industrial metals. You know that curve is going to be coming out with a one on copper. Now, somebody asked me in a comment, how about rare earth metals? Guess what, buddy? There is thousands of ETFs out there. And you think that Brad knows every single ETF from every single ETF issuer. Do your own research. By the way, you can type it into something called Google to start throw it out. Why do you even ask the question? You can type it literally into Google. I just don't get it. They ask questions that the answers are right in Google, and then you can go cross-reference those because you never trust what Google tells you straight off. You cross-reference those to other sources and other information. All right. I put this into Grok. What does Grok tell me to do? Sequencing matters. Tariff announcement first, then Fed turnover in 2026 for currency moves. Notice that Grok pointed out something very important. Then Fed turnover in 2026 for currency moves. So if you think that the currency move is done on the Dixie, it's not. It is not done. And again, I'm only reading off what Grok is telling me because AI can do a lot more searches than I can personally do. And why is that important? The Fed turnover in currencies. Well, that is because Scott Bessent, which, by the way, was named in that report before he became Secretary of the Treasury. So this is all planned. Nothing new, all planned, right? You're going to have a new Fed chair before Christmas, or possible Fed chair before Christmas. And literally, Grok just told you 2026, and there's going to be a new Fed chair. If you're not connecting the dots, literally, if you're not connecting the dots, then I don't know what to tell you, right? You can literally Google this for yourself. It's just that easy, right? Just that easy, right? We're going to go on to silver prices soaring after COMEX outage. Okay, so the CME on Friday had a little cooling issue. So they say. Well, let's just talk about that real quick. On Friday, there was 12 tons, not 12 ounces, 12 tons of shorts on silver that somebody was going to have to pay. And when I say pay, means deliver. So somebody had 12 tons of silver that he was going to have to deliver. But guess what? He didn't have 12 tons. Guess what? Magically, the CME opens back up, and magically, that trade was gone. Somebody is probably going to go to jail, probably in the next few years. That trader is probably going ahead and lawyering up and trying to figure out how to leave the country because he knows he got caught. 12 tons, right? Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. You're you're about the funniest guy that I've ever met. Right, 12 tons. The other one is USGS officially adds copper and silver to the critical minerals list. Yes, yes, it's now on the critical minerals list. You can go Google what happens, exactly what happens to the actual commodities that go into this list for the next 5 years after they become on this list. What happens to it? It's easy. It normally goes up. That's what happens, right? And let's go ahead and we'll bring them up. Listen to Brad lose money and take more risk. Well, Lance, you're the one that keeps on bringing up CLOs, and I kept on telling you not to keep on saying it, but you did. So anyway, I guess Lance is now a little upset because he won't be able to make stupid comments anymore on any of my videos. Just sorry, that's how it works. Let's go ahead and move back. I mean, I believe you. You're just saying CLO feeling just fine. That's all. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now he's upset that he's literally now he's upset down here. And this is what I deal with comments on YouTube. That's why I started my personal circle community. So I wouldn't have to put up with people like that. Just throw it out. And even for industrials, industrial metals, and defense sector ETFs. Well, there's a bunch of them out there, right? There is a bunch of them, right? There's a defense one coming out from Nichols. There's also industrial metals coming out from State Street. So you have State Street, right? Mr. Brad is very fair and he puts his comments on the screen. Yeah, I do. I'm very fair. I think that somebody gets a little you know, a little upset that he keeps on bringing up CLOs, right? And I keep on telling him, right? CLO outflows, right? I keep on bringing it up to him, right? That this is happening. And literally, he can't go. Investors pool cash from CLO ETFs, biggest outflows since April. Huh. It literally, he can't Google it himself. I don't know. I guess that touching the keys gets a little too much for him. Right? At least I bring up his comments right on the screen. So anyway, I am just a little grumpy today because somebody got on and runs their mouth and doesn't even actually type in anything into Google. So that just tells me that, I don't know. Yeah. What do you think of MSTR Misty? Mm-mm-mm-mm. Uh, Not good. Not good. Right? I would just have that like saved, right? So MSTR is trading below the 200-day simple moving average. There's a lot of FUD on MSTR and Misty and reverse splits. I just don't think that that's, you know, necessarily true. But let's face it, MSTR is probably the biggest threat to Bitcoin. It is. It is the largest treasury company, right? You know, it's the largest treasury company. So we're just going to go ahead and say, be careful of MSTR. Now, I have STRC. I own it. I bought it right at public offering. I thought this was going to be a great product. It hasn't performed exactly the way that they said it's going to perform. I think over time, as it matures, it can get there, but I'm keeping an eye on it. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Owning Bitcoin does not give you triple A credit rating. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. Right. But what they're trying to do, I get. I just feel that we just need to be careful. Now, MSTR and Misty, put it like this. I don't like anything that's trading below the 200-day simple moving average. That's really reasonable. I mean, I don't even like Bitcoin right now. It's trading below the 200-day simple moving average on a daily chart. Let's go ahead and throw that. I think long term, right? You might have something. I think Misty doesn't capture upside from yield max. I mean, come on, let's talk about yield max. Let's go ahead and somebody said one time, I didn't talk bad about yield max. Obviously, you haven't been following me long enough to know. So, one, single stock trades are a little risky. I put them on every now and then, but concentration risk and single stock risk, you have all kinds of risk when you try to play with one stock. Having a basket of stocks is always going to be safer than one stock, right? So we'll just throw that out that, hey, that is literally what it's about, right? And it's a good, right? He brings it up. That's a good decision. Hey, I just sit back and I get a little more worried about it. Now, at the end of the day, do I think Bitcoin is something that you should have? I've always said that you should have a small satellite position, something in BTCI, maybe a little more than a satellite, 5%, right? That gets you back to the other guy that talks about, risk. Obviously, He's got risk in CLOs. He's using 50x leverage. 50x leverage. No risk there. None. None at all. Right? Just doesn't know what he's got himself into. Right? So at the end of the day, we'll just go ahead and say that defense sector, and I brought that up before, defense sector, because, and it's really defense sector AI. Government is not going to let other countries get ahead of us. They are going to do the big print, right? They're just going to do the big print. Now, I personally, a little bit of REITs, a little bit of energy, some Bitcoin, some core positions, and something on the NASDAQ, and you can figure it out, right? Remember, I live on 8% of cost. So there you have it. Hey, Brad, are you familiar with SGov? Yes. Yes, I am. I'm also familiar with BOXX, which is probably even better than SGov, depending on the type of account that you have. So yes, I'm very, very familiar with SGov. I hold it. I mean, I'm wondering if people even recognize that I hold stuff like that. But yes, SGov, Mint. I mean, we can go down the list. I mean, literally, I have a complete list of all these funds that's out there, right? So yes, familiar with this one, right? You know, is it a safe place to put your life savings for 1 month or 1 year? I would like let's actually read this quick. Safe place for 1 month, for months, or 1 year. It's safer than other things, but let's just go ahead and face it. Why are you putting your life savings, literally, why are you putting your life savings into short-term treasuries today? Did I miss something? I must have missed something. I don't know. But then again, I get asked questions like that all the time. Oh, I want to do this. It's all up to you, right? Personally, you can hold it. I actually hold a bunch of different ones so I can actually split out what I'm going to reinvest back in when it gets below my cost basis, just to try to sort it out. But then again, you can do what you want to do. Personally, I have eliminated all single stocks. Yes, I still have a couple, and they're very small positions, right? You know, when you get to a certain point, you're sitting back going, why do I have to have all these single stocks? And then why do I have a fund? I think I want to even go to a fund that has at least 35 to 40 stocks in it. Anything less than that, you kind of start getting might as well have single stocks, right? So you sit back and think about that. And if you do have one that has a small basket like eggs or anything, it's a small position. Don't make it a core position. Have something a little more spread out. Oh, hey, you got it. I think Roundhill has found a good job with credit default swaps. Okay, so in a sideways market, and we're just going to bring this up. In a sideways market, those swaps are going to eat you alive. Just throw it out. Those swaps will eat you alive. As long as it's moving up, just fine. Now the other one is have you ever really think to look at Robinhood on a chart and who on a chart and look at total returns? Because if it's not 1.2% more, then wait a second. Are you really getting the worth of the swaps? Just throw it out. Do your own research on that. I mean, I've seen videos and somebody bringing up the math, and it's just like, you got to be a little wary. Right? I mean, we talk about a lot of different things, but I think it's a decent fund if you want concentration into Robinhood, but it's only a good fund when the stock is going up. When it's going down, you're going to get hit a little bit harder than other ones. And that gets you back into something like the boosted funds from Neos. They're going to come out with 1.5% leverage. It gets into that risk tolerance. Those are going to be a little more risky than other ones. Just how it is, right? Just how it is. Well, sorry for my rant today. I'm just going to go ahead and drink my coffee. Somebody that comes on and always wants to talk about a certain subject matter and then calls me out saying you didn't even Google it. That doesn't make sense to me. So, anyway, until next time, God bless.